Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today you find me not at the shop, not at home, and not anywhere close to home for that matter. I'm currently at college, Purdue Indianapolis, for motorsports engineering, the next 4 years anyway, so if you're in the area, come on, stop by. I'll be here Monday through Friday, I reckon. My last class is at like 10:30, so I don't reckon I'll stay too much longer than that, but I'll be here. I brought some stickers with me too, so it feels kind of weird to record in public. Hoping nobody minds. Anyway, had a backlog of videos that I mean to upload, but we're missing different pieces, so I put them all together into one video, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. They don't really make a whole lot of sense, but they're just various little projects that I worked on this last winter, this last summer, and just little things here and there that I did. So, first thing that I worked on, or the first video you're gonna see in this video, is me working on a green truck. A guy reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to do the brake lines and wheel cylinders on his 70 F100, and I said sure, that'd be great. So I went ahead and did that. It turned out to be a very rusty truck, but it was pretty fun to work on, so that's what I did. Got our brakes all going and sent it back home with him. There wasn't anything particular to note about it other than Inline Tube did send me the kit with 2 missing brake lines. They did send me other ones for free, so super appreciative of that, and it wasn't even hard to do at all. Turns out trying to find somewhere in the city where people aren't is pretty hard. Anyway, that was a lot of fun working on that truck. And one thing I do want to point out, if you're doing brake lines on an F100 like that, the steering box, 2 of the brake lines went through under the steering box, if I remember, and you had to remove the steering box to feed the lines through. That was the only thing I can particularly remember about that truck being weird. Otherwise, it was all pretty normal. It was manual 4-wheel drums, and it definitely, you had to push on that brake pedal to get it to stop even after I bled it, and adjusted them all out as well as I could. So, kind of a very rusty truck. We got off the trailer and put up on the lift. Now the door won't close. Cab mounts are basically gone. Step 1 would be to get this drum off because it's stuck. So. And someone got hungry at some point and decided to eat this. One neat thing, it's a 70 F100. It's got a like 391 to 411. I didn't really count that accurately, but pretty steep gear ratio, and it's limited slip. So pretty sweet 9-inch right here. I'm gonna open some doors and get some tools. I'm working this for somebody. This is not my truck. I don't know how else to take this off other than with a hammer, so it looks like it came right off. So either it's got an excessive ridge or something like that. Leaks a lot of transmission fluid too. Things have escalated. I gotta tell you what, sometimes heat's just all a guy needs. Frickin' thing just came right out. I've been beating the heck out of it with this giant punch and this hammer. So when I'm doing brake lines in these old vehicles like this, I always buy from Inline Tube. They make pre-bent lines, and 9 times out of 10 they fit about perfectly. Had great service with them in the past, pretty affordable, and they ship within a couple days and you get them pretty quick. And again, they fit. The flares are always nice on them, and that's something I don't have to worry about doing. The guy who I'm in this truck for bought these brake lines for it. I told him which kit to buy, right? And well, I just opened the box, and it's supposed to be an 8-piece kit, and it only has 6 pieces in it. It's missing both of the pieces that go over the axle. So, that's just wonderful. Guess I'll have to contact the company now. They'll probably send me some new ones. The better. So that kind of stinks. What the heck, Inline Tube? What the heck? How does a guy take drum brake springs off? An appropriately sized pair of channel locks. Yep. One wheel cylinder in, put a little bit of wheel bearing grease on there for better or worse. Probably supposed to use anti-seize. I don't know. Let's jump on to the next vehicle in this video you're gonna see. And that was a old 60s F600, I guess. Used to be a dump truck for grain, assumedly. And it had been sitting for a long time. And a friend of mine bought a new house, and it came with the property, somewhat. And I was like, hey, can I see if I get it to run? And they were like, sure, go ahead. So I tried for one weekend, and then someone else came and got the truck, and I never got to work on it again. And that's why there's no more content other than the one video that I shot. I concluded that more than likely we had a couple stuck intake/exhaust valves, because every time it would fire, it'd kind of pop out the intake. And I'm pretty sure that had to do with having stuck valves. So if someone is ever gonna work on the truck again, take the valve covers off and make sure all the valves are moving, because that's probably what's wrong with it. All right, guys, working on this, I think it's a 65 or 66 Ford here. Just went through the starter, so I got that to work. Starter works, is great because it's one of those funky ones with the giant thing on the end. If you know these pre-68 Ford starters. What else? Oh yeah, I replaced the points. We got ignition to the distributor at least. The cap looks absolutely horrendous. Plug wires don't look too bad. And the spark plugs also look horrendous. So I'm going through, thankfully I had a set of Champions with me, used out of the Torino, and we're gonna put those spark plugs in here, re-sand on the cap some more, and hit it again. This is a pretty nice little truck. Hoping to, maybe if I can get it around tonight and drive around the yard. I didn't bring any gas with me, so that might be one problem. I brought a fuel line, but I didn't bring any gas, so we'll get to that when we get to that. Unfortunately, not video evidence of this, but I'll show you here. This is the old distributor cap. You can see in there, they're really corroded. I sanded on them, tried to file them, pocket knife to scrape it off. Nothing I could do to get it to show bare metal. And I hooked a spark plug up to obviously test each one, and it was barely a spark on some of them, probably only 2 of them, and it was a really yellow orange spark. Okay, I took the old distributor cap that was on the Torino when I got it, and it looked really good. It probably was replaced at some point when someone tried to get it running. And I just now tested it, and now it's white hot spark at every spark plug that has a working plug wire anyway. So that's really good there. Just goes to show what a distributor cap can do for you. All right, guys, gonna give it one last effort. I'm gonna shoot. Use this after rest to brake clean here. I didn't bring any gas, which is dumb, but hopefully it does something. I replaced 6 out of the 8 spark plugs. It has sparked. Everybody has sparked. Fuel making happeners, not really doing a whole lot of fuel making happening, but we're just gonna, you know, this is like really empty. So we're gonna try one last time to make it do something. I don't know. That's all she wrote. Okay. Close the throttle. Hope that like acts as a choke maybe. And that's it. I got to do a little better than that earlier, but I had more brake clean, so maybe that's why. Yeah, I did not bring any gas with me. Tempted to come back, but I have to rig up a fuel line to that pump and hope that it works. And hope the carburetor works, obviously. I think we're gonna call it for now. We'll leave most of this junk here because I don't need it for any reason. See, we had one good strong, and that was it. I might pop a valve cover off real quick, so I'm curious what it looks like under there. But other than that, we're done. So a little bit disappointed maybe, partially, but I did hear it pop off, so that is inspiring. Help, obviously, to change those last 2 spark plugs on this side. There's a giant heater thing in the way, that's why I didn't do it. It just looked like a big pain in the butt. But we'll probably slap a carburetor on here, plug some plug wires, properly gap the points, and this thing would probably be a runner. So maybe for another weekend, if I get a chance here, I'll come back and we'll get her going. And the last part of this video was about doing carb bushings, or throttle shaft bushings on a Holly. Nothing really to point out about that. There's other better videos about doing it. It's just something I did and I recorded. Might as well include it. Maybe you guys can get a little information out of there. So, hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today you join me inside because it's in the teens outside and it's really cold. I don't like the cold very much. So we're gonna be working on this carburetor inside. So if you guys remember, I did a pretty long video on rebuilding Holly carburetors a while back, and I rebuilt this here, C8OF 9510D, which is for a 390 Fairlane Mustang Cougar from 68 with automatic transmission. This carburetor I would like to put on the 390 that's going in the truck. I think it'd be a good 600 CFM vacuum secondary, you know, be a good carburetor for it. But I built it, put new gaskets in it, and it leaked a lot after I did that video. So since then, I have fixed the leaks pretty well. I filed the block down with a file on both sides. I'll put a picture of what that looks like there. I filed it down flat. It was very warped. That fixed a lot of the leaking problems. I ended up having to get a couple new gaskets for the fuel rail, seating against the bowl. Got 2 of those new gaskets. I ended up getting a whole new gasket set for it, specifically for the list number of this carburetor, which is 3796 list number. So that's what you get for the kit. So I ended up essentially putting a kit in it, even though I didn't use hardly any of the gaskets for it. I just used what I needed, and I'll use the rest of it some other time. So I got to finally stop leaking around everywhere except the throttle shaft. It was leaking gas out like crazy, and when I put it on the engine, on the run stand, fired right up, but instantly died. It wouldn't idle. Nothing I did particularly would make it idle, and that tells me vacuum leak around the throttle shaft, probably. And I knew the throttle shaft had a little play, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Or at least, maybe I didn't look at it hard enough. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So Hollys are notorious for leaking air around the throttle shaft because this is a steel shaft inside of an aluminum plate here. So they wear against each other. So you can buy a reamer kit on eBay. So it comes with this little bit that you slide in backwards. Yeah, you slide it in kind of like that. I'll show you guys how this goes. And then you can tap one of these bronze bushings in, and it takes up the slack that you get from here. So you guys can hopefully hear that, and you could can see that. The spec for Holly is if it's anything bigger than 10 thousandths, then you should shim, or you should bush it, obviously. Or I think Holly just says to get a whole new base plate, which would probably be preferable, but that's not in the budget. So we're just gonna try and put bushings in it. I had to do this for the 800 double pumper that I have in the Torino, and I had great success with it. In fact, when I was working on that carburetor originally, I finally got everything to work on it pretty good except for idling, and I chewed up some bubble gum, and I put a bunch of bubble gum around the throttle shaft on both sides of the primary throttle shaft, and then it started idling. So that told me that the throttle shaft was worn out. So if you want to do a quick test to see if your throttle shaft is worn out, just do that. Put bubble gum over it or seal it somehow. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take this throttle shaft out, and we're gonna put some bushings in here. To take the throttle shaft out, you gotta take this screw out of the end and the fast idle lever thing for the choke. You gotta take that off, take those pieces off. You also have to take the screws out of the throttle plates there. If you remember, this carburetor was seized when I got it, so it's had quite a transformation. So it's kind of neat that we've got it, unseized to start with. You gotta take these screws out. They are like smashed at the end from the factory to make them so that way they don't ever back out. So usually these screws come out pretty hard and they'll go in hard too, but that's just so they don't fall out, more or less. So once you take those out, then the whole shaft can slide out that way. Also, make sure you note which throttle blade went in which hole. Sometimes they don't fit if you don't remember which one they went into. Also, the screws are helpful to know which hole they came out of. That way they go in easier than it would be otherwise. That way you just put everything back exactly how it was. Hopefully you can see it's a little better now, but it's kind of hard to show. You can see it has a lot of play back and forth that throttle shaft has in that hole. Now that I got the throttle shaft out, I can kind of show you guys what that looks like. Look at that. I mean, that's pretty bad. No wonder this thing wouldn't idle. Alright guys, so got this all done here. Let me tell you guys what I ended up doing. So I put a bronze bushing in this side on this one because it was really, really out of whack. And then I found that I had two of those little nylon strips they send you in those Holley kits from leftover from another Holley. So I went ahead and I put the skinny one on this side and I put the fat one on this side, but I ended up cutting it about in half. This side was not near as worn out as this side was. I measured it with the calipers, and this one was about 3/1000 bigger than this side was, for whatever reason. Why it's like that, I don't know. Maybe because it's wider here, narrower here. Usually this side wears more than this side does. So, why that is, I don't know. But I got the nylon one fitting here pretty good. And now you gotta usually like start them on one side and roll them in. They're kind of hard to get in there, but once you get them in there, it's all right. A lot of times they can be kind of sticky afterwards, especially if your regular return spring is old. So I need to work this a little bit back and forth before it'll return good. But there's no more slop on either side now, so I'm really happy with that. That's the main thing that I was trying to fix. So anyway guys, let me get to it and I'll get back to you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. So far, it's my, I guess, third day here, more or less. I haven't had any classes yet, just orientation stuff. But I'm learning to walk around and figure out what everything is, and met a couple new people, so that's cool. Overall, just trying to get adjusted to living here during the week, so it's an experience for sure. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on It'll Run, where I'm gonna try and fill you guys in on the 74 Kawasaki S3 400. So see you next time.